The following broadcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. While Kirk Shepard is a therapist, he's probably your therapist, so this production should not be considered a replacement for therapy. If you are in need of professional counseling, please use a resource like psychologytoday.com, your primary care physician, or one of the many online therapy services available. If you are in crisis or having a psychological emergency, please seek assistance from your closest emergency room. And now, happy Monday!
Hey everybody, welcome! Happy Monday! How are you? So good to see you. So good to be with you as always. My name is Kirk Shepard, and I am your host here every week for Happy Monday. Hope that you're having a good one so far. My voice sounds a little weird, I know, because earlier today I was coughing or choked on something, and I've sort of injured my voice, but I wanted to get this recorded and get this out to you. I'm not sure when that's it'll be fine. It'll bounce back. I don't feel bad. And it's not that I'm sick. It's truly I had something stuck in there and it's gone, but my voice is recovering. So forgive the audio if this voice sounds a little bit less than up to par, but I wanted to get this thing in the can as I had time here today. We're recording this on Sunday night, ready for Monday morning's drop. So welcome to Happy Monday. If this is your first time here, welcome. Glad you're here. Go back and listen to some archived stuff, but also know that we focus on three things mostly: gratitude, affirmation, and productivity. And today we're going to focus on affirmation, sort of, but you'll see. And we'll get to that in a bit. I had a great weekend, really busy weekend. First, we talked last week, I touched on it, that I was going to get to go do a photo shoot at Union Terminal after hours, and I did do that. And if you go over to kirkandconnie.com, you'll see a post there where my friend Connie and I went, and I put the photos up. Some of the photos are there for your view. It's really cool, and it was a really good time. We had a good time doing that. It was limited to just a few people, so we got to go in places in the building that people don't always get to see, and we photographed that, and I was really happy with how some of the pictures came out. So that was great. And then this weekend, I was able to see a show by the Drew and Lea Lachey called Labelless. That was at the Playhouse in the park. It was basically a group of young adults talking about their struggles with identity versus whether it was mental health related or sexuality or physical disability, and they intermixed pop songs that were sung remarkably well with some amazing choreography, and it was a really moving and entertaining performance. So I'm really glad I saw that. That was on Friday. And then yesterday, Saturday, I drove to Columbus to see my friend Britta Ray star as Carole King in Beautiful, the Carole King musical, which is a really great musical, one of the most produced this summer at all the regional theaters. And it was at Short North Stages in Columbus, downtown Columbus, and Britta was Carole King. Unbelievable. She was not doing an impression, though. She was doing a tribute. She had the voice down, and her mannerisms were there, but she was definitely an actress playing the role, not a caricature of Carole. And I got to tell you, one of the best performances I've seen in a long time. Very excited about this weekend coming up. We got Cedar Point on the agenda. We're going to be recording several travel podcasts over there at kirkandconnie.com in the car on the way up and the way back. But that means that I'm not going to be here Monday and this weekend, so there will be no Happy Monday next week. There'll be no Happy Monday next week. You'll be okay, I promise. There will be, however, a blog post. And today's blog post is part one of a series. So next week's blog post is already written, and it will post on time. So you'll have that to look forward to next week. Let's talk about what I'm discovering right now, huh? Excuse me. So, love this part of the show where I get to tell you what I'm learning and reading and listening to and discovering and finding out and all that stuff. And so one of the things that I'm finished reading this book, A Flaw in the Design. Now, I know we spun the wheel a few weeks ago, and I picked this one. And I am reading it, but slowly. Directed by James Burrows is the book that I'm now reading. But I'd already started this, A Flaw in the Design, hoping the wheel was going to pick it, because I was kind of cheating. It didn't, but I finished it anyway, because I had the audiobook, and I was on the way to Columbus and was able to listen to it. If you like psychological thrillers, this is a really good one. Really interesting character study. So I enjoyed that very much. Also, what I'm discovering again right now is the beautiful music of Carole King. Because of Beautiful, the musical that I saw yesterday, I also re-listened to her Tapestry album. Goodness, she's a great songwriter. Really, really good stuff. So that's the things that I'm discovering. But here's the biggest takeaway I've got from the week. I finally kind of have had some realizations about my writing. I'm working on taking Chase the Dragon, my full-length play, and I'm trying to turn that into a novel. And that's been a challenge for a lot of reasons. But I think the biggest thing that I've figured out about myself as a writer, I crave feedback. That's why I love to write plays, because you get to perform those in front of a live audience and you get instant feedback about the work from people laughing or sighing or telling you immediately afterwards what they thought. And when you write blog posts or when you write written material, you aren't getting that immediate feedback. And I'm not a part of a writer's group at this point. Have had a hard time finding one that meets my needs, meets my schedule. So I'm not getting feedback at all. And I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding Chat GPT and the AI stuff, but it'll give you feedback. I can plug my work in there and say, what do you think? And it will tell me very specifically what it thinks. And it praises me and also makes suggestions. And so I'm finding that I'm more motivated as a writer when I can use that AI chatbot to bounce ideas off of. And so I'd still prefer to find a writing partner or a writing group and be part of a community with people that will give feedback and that I can give feedback to as well. But for now, we're going to settle for the robots doing the work, and I'm enjoying that a lot. So that's what I'm discovering about myself. Today's word of the day. We actually are bringing back the word of the day from before. So we're going to read it again. It's alignment. We used it in the past for an episode, and we're going to use it again today and probably again in the future, because I love this word and I love what it means and what I'm discovering about it as far as a mental health application is. So when I say alignment, I'm not talking about your car alignment, although we do use that in the blog today as an analogy for why alignment is important. So I first really kind of had this revelation reading Colby Martin's book, Unclobber, where he attacks the clobber passages, the verses that people use to make their biblical case against homosexuality, and he dissects them through context of history and language to debunk that those passages mean what we've been told they mean. And it's a really great thing. But the reason why he did all that work was because he felt out of alignment with his value system, what he felt was true, and what his church was teaching. And so he finally got himself in alignment and felt better as a human. And it made me think about how out of alignment a lot of us are in other ways. Without proper alignment, you're going to feel pulled in too many directions. If you're in your car and your car is out of alignment, it's going to pull to the right or the left, and you're going to feel pulled in the wrong direction. So we got to figure out how to align your value system with your thoughts, with your behaviors, and with the way you treat yourself. When you're not in proper alignment, it's hard to stay on course. It's hard to steer. And so how can you navigate properly if you don't have things in alignment? And finally, there's long-term damage to your vehicle if it's out of alignment. And just that way, there's also long-term damage to you, to your soul, and to your mental health if you are not in alignment. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more even in our self-care segment. So you know how we, we have to use the music. We have the music. Let's use it. I mean, this is a real show, after all, with bumper music and graphics and stuff. Your Self-Care is the book we're using by Dr. Zoe Shaw. I will confess to you that if you're following along in the book, and anybody doing that? If you are, I'd love to hear it. But I'm cheating a little bit today, but only a little bit, because I pulled the quote from tomorrow and today. So the 17th, which is today, when this drops, and the 18th. I didn't love the one by the 17th by itself, but with the 18th, it made more sense. So here's what the self-care thought of the day is. Here's actually your assignment. It's actually an assignment for you in your self-care. In less than 100 words, write out your life's philosophy. Consider framing it, placing it somewhere central and visible, and this will become your personal mission statement, and you'll refer to it when you're feeling lost or when you're feeling out of alignment, you see. Because if we don't understand our values and our life philosophy, we can't properly align because we haven't even got the first step done yet. Does that make sense? So your first task is to align by coming up with your value statement, your philosophy of life. Now, Ralph Waldo Emerson has a quote, and this is what was posted for today in the book. He says, "The purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well." I'm not opposed to that, other than I don't love the idea of vilifying happiness as if it's something wrong to aspire to. There's also a mental health book called Happiness is a Choice that I find to be, even now, many years after reading it, a little demeaning to people with actual depression. Now, the book is geared towards people with depression, trying to help them understand that they have to do things to pull themselves out of their funk. Because the hardest thing about overcoming depression is overcoming depression. You have to do things you don't feel like doing in order to feel better. But I don't want people to think that being happy is bad, or that we should not pursue it. I don't think you can prioritize it over other things if it's going to hurt people or yourself. But there's nothing wrong with being happy. So I didn't love the quote, but I did decide, what if I came up with one of my own? If I want to ask you to do this assignment, this 100-word philosophy statement, I should do the same. And so mine's not quite 100 words, but it's, I think, pretty good. I embrace a philosophy rooted in independence, compassion, empathy, connection, and self-care. Those are the 5 things. Independence, compassion, empathy, connection, and self-care. As with all things Kirk Shepard related, there's a contradiction. How many people do you know, by the way, who spent 20 years in a combat sport, predetermined or not, but also then is a peaceful, loving counselor, right? I grew up in the church, and now I'm an ex-evangelical who is named shepherd of the church, who is trying to help people understand the damage that traditional evangelical Christianity can do to your mental health. So many things about me are contradictory. My friend Kathy Sprinkle one time told me I was the weirdest person she'd ever met, and she was really good friends with Rich Mullins, who I think is a pretty weird, big weirdo. And so I take that as a huge compliment that she thinks that. But here are our 5 things. And you might say, well, how can you be independent and also value connection? Well, I'll tell you how, right? I find strength in self-reliance, empowering my spirit to explore and unfold, yet my journey gains meaning through heartfelt empathy, nurturing a compassionate soul that seeks to uplift others. I cherish connections, weaving a vibrant web of relationships that enrich my existence and inspire growth. And amidst the chaos and all the contradiction, I find solace in nurturing myself, my mind, my body, and my spirit, and embracing self-care as the cornerstone of my well-being. Let me read that again to you. I embrace a philosophy rooted in independence, compassion, empathy, connection, and self-care. I find strength in self-reliance, empowering my spirit to explore and unfold, yet my journey gains meaning through heartfelt empathy, nurturing a compassionate soul that seeks to uplift others. I cherish connections, weaving a vibrant web of relationships that enrich my existence and inspire growth. And amidst the chaos, I find solace in nurturing myself, mind, body, and spirit, embracing self-care as the cornerstone of my well-being. Now, do I always get this right? No, of course not. But things like going to see my friend Britta in a show, developing that connection, continuing that relationship that I made while she was a student here at the University of Cincinnati, by going to Columbus to see her perform and seeing her after the show and praising her and validating her and telling the world how amazing she is, helps foster that connection. Putting myself in theatrical events where I get to feel other people's stories and feel them. I mean, feel them. Seeing Labelless, where I got to feel people's stories, is self-care for me. It's inspiring, and it's part of that whole process. And I did those things by myself. I did not require a seat partner to do things in the world. So that's why I value independence, empathy, compassion, self-care, and whatever else I said on that list. Connection, of course. So I'm going to challenge you to do your thing and figure out your mission statement. It doesn't have to be 5 things. It doesn't have to be written like that at all. But you need to develop a philosophy so that you can figure out how then to start to align your values with your behaviors. Next week on the blog, while I'm gone to Cedar Point, you're going to read all about how your inner monologue needs to come into alignment with your core values. If you believe that you will have worth and that you are good and decent and value and deserve being loved, and you tell yourself how awful you are, then you're not in alignment. And so we're going to talk about that next week on the blog. But I want you to figure out first what your philosophy is. What do you value? And then we'll start to build the blocks to help you get into alignment. Make sense? Hope so. Okay, I think it's time for some quiet meditation. If you're able to, take a deep breath. We'll start to breathe together. We're going to breathe in. We're going to breathe out. And in. And out. Twice more. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Continue to breathe. Continue to focus on your breath. But I also want you to think about the things that you value. What is important to you? What are the things about other people that you respect? What are the things about yourself that you wish were true? Write those down later today. But for now, I want you to pick just one. Maybe it's being compassionate. Maybe it's being a hard worker. Maybe it's being well-traveled. It could be anything you want. But I want you to take 2 minutes to focus on that thing, that value. I want you to internally, or out loud if you'd like, tell yourself the ways in which you're going to live out that value this week. How are you going to treat yourself? How are you going to treat others? Do you need to plan a trip? Do you need to message somebody on Facebook or Instagram or through text message you haven't talked to in a while to connect with them? Do you need to give yourself a night where you just get a nice warm bath and a book and a new album that you haven't heard yet? Do you need to just sit on the couch and binge watch a show that you like? Do you need to go for a walk? What is it you need to do to begin to put action towards your values? Now I want you to breathe. I want you to rest for a second in the knowledge that whatever your value is, you deserve to become aligned with it. Whatever's in the way of that alignment, we can get rid of. Keep breathing. In. and out. In and out. And when you're ready, come back to me. And we'll get back to normal. Maybe normal. I'm not really normal. What's getting back to normal even mean? I don't really know. I wish my voice was back to normal because I can just tell it doesn't sound as powerfully strong as I would like it to. Maybe it's better today. So, alignment, that's our word of the day. Where's it at? There it is. Our word of the day is alignment, and we're going to be focusing on that a lot coming up, I think, because it's something I think that will help people feel better about life. So when you're out of alignment, you don't do well. You're not happy. So your homework is, of course, to come up with your mission statement, to think of the things that you value, put that into practice however you need to, but first step is to identify it, and then we'll go from there. Okay? So let's do some affirmation. I think that you, hopefully by now, know that the fact that you're listening to this show makes me incredibly proud and grateful that you're investing a few minutes of your week with me to hear what I have to say about anything. That's touching. I'm not going to say it humbles me because that's the wrong language. Whenever somebody says something humbles them, and it's actually a good thing, it blows my mind because it's not what humbled means. You're not humbled by success. You are grateful for success. You're honored by success. But humbled would be me getting kicked in the groin or me falling down on my face. That's humbling. Humbling is not humbling to be given kudos. Anyway, that's a whole other rant. But the fact that you're here listening to this show, watching this show, is really awe-inspiring to me that anyone would care. But also that you're investing in you. Because this show is about gratitude, affirmation, and productivity, but it's also about you and self-improvement. And you spending time to learn about topics that make you a better person, a more well-rounded person, a happier, more in alignment person, and you deserve to be given credit for that. You could be listening to anything else right now. And there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of good stuff out there. There's a lot of stuff out there that's not going to be helpful to you, that you could be spending your time with, and you chose to spend it with me. And so I'm affirmed by that, and I hope that you are affirmed by me telling you how proud I am for you choosing yourself over other things, by investing time into your well-being, and by making your Monday, or whatever day you listen to this, a little bit happier, right? A little bit better by having spent this time focusing on the stuff that relates to your life. Now, here's your real task. So you have the homework to put your life's philosophy on paper. I also want you to start very briefly, just a little bit, paying attention to your inner monologue. And if you catch yourself being mean to yourself, I want you to think about how you would treat that monologue if it was talking to your best friend, or your child, or your mother. What would you do to that voice if it was talking so badly about somebody you loved? You'd probably want to stomp it out. That's our goal. We're going to get there. That's what we're going to talk about next week. But I want you to start paying attention to your inner monologue as well. And we're going to get rid of the negativity. We're going to affirm ourselves all the time. And we're going to just feel better about being us. Because we're awesome. We really are awesome. And we really deserve better. Yeah? Hey, this has been fun. I'm taking next week off so I can go to Cedar Point, have a great time. But I'll come back with information about that. If you're missing me, go over to kirkandconnie.com, go over to kirkshepard.com. Tons of content there. TheSappyCritic.com. We have lots of theater reviews up there. Maybe you haven't seen those. There's archives. There's some travel vlogs on YouTube from a year or so or more ago. You can watch those. There's plenty of Kirk Shepard content out there. So you will be okay if we miss a week, I promise. And spend your time focused on you. Read something great. Tell me about it. Email me. Let me know what you're learning, what you're working on, and keep looking forward to the blogs and these podcasts, because I sure am having a ball. Okay, that's gonna do it. I will see you in 2 weeks. It'll be August, I think, by then. Maybe not, but it'll be close to it. Anyway, if you're at Kings Island, make sure you hit up the Grand Carnival. I'll see you around there, and take care of yourselves. Be kind.